Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast, your weekly or twice weekly source for all the latest breaking Star Wars news, rumors, and discussion. And this week or weekend or day, tonight, this evening, this morning, I don't know when you listen to this, whenever this is, this episode, we are back to talk about The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13, Pabu, aka The Bad Batch meets The Perfect Storm. I don't know if that reference actually works. I had another reference in mind that I was going to do, and then I realized it wouldn't work. And so I quickly Googled in the moments before we started movies about tsunamis. And that was the number one that came up. And so we're rolling with it. And hopefully it was an appropriate reference. If it wasn't, I sincerely apologize. But it's also better than the other idea I had to open the show, which was to do an Irish accent because it is St. Patrick's Day as we record this. And that would have been really offensive. You've all heard my impression of Hannah. Imagine that, but somehow worse. And it'd be really, really bad. So not doing any of that. We're just talking Bad Batch. And we're going to have a great time doing so here tonight, today, whenever you listen to this. First, though, introductions are in order in case you're new to the show or you've forgotten who we are. That can happen. My name is Dominic Jones. And with me, as always, is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld. It's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? This is going to be an interesting discussion. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling something in my bones that makes me think that this is gonna be fun.
I have a similar feeling. Also with us, as always, good friend and co-host Chris Seekell.
Hey, everybody. I am joining you from a train station, so yay.
It's going to catch that train that Dr. Pershing and Elia Kane were on last week on The Mandalorian. It's going to get on that train.
That's what I'm doing.
You're going to run between the cars. You're going to be chased by some droids. And every car you get into, you're going to go, Tongs Day, am I right? And everybody's going to look at you the way they looked at Dr. Pershing.
I need to get some Imperial podcasting equipment out of the yards.
There we go. Good call. Also with us, as always, from the Raeside, it's Hannah Raeside.
G'day there. Great to be here for I really don't know how to describe this episode of The Bad Batch. So we're going to have a show. It's going to be interesting. Very keen to see what unfolds from this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. I spent all day at Toronto Comic Con. I was talking about this episode with our friend Matthew from Ion Cannon, and yeah, I was sort of preparing for this episode. So I'm ready for whatever you guys are going to throw at me. I'm ready to talk about this Bad Batch episode. I'm excited. First, though, a couple of reminders. Of course, punch the old subscribe button or the new subscribe button if you're like a first-time listener. And hit the bell as well so you don't miss all these new recordings we do. Also, subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, all those places. And if you're listening live and you want to join in on the conversation, you can super chat with us. And that's a way to support us financially. And then another way to do that is to become a channel member. And also, you can just join the Discord. That part's free. And keep the conversation going between episodes. All right, let's get into it. As I said, we're talking about The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13, Pabu, directed by Stuart Lee and written by Amanda Rose Munoz. The Bad Batch take a little break, and they go to a nice resort village for a day or two. But naturally, because of The Bad Batch, everywhere they go, things happen. And so, of course, there was an earthquake followed by a tsunami, and just a typical vacation, I think, how everybody hopes their vacation is going to go. Let's start this discussion how we always do. We'll go around the table, give some initial impressions, and Benjamin, start us off. We're going to throw it to you first. Ben, you're muted.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sorry,
that is
I
awesome.
muted because I didn't realize I was still on Discord, and someone was like, "Hey, what are you still doing in this room?" I was like, "Crap." So
Before the show, we were trying to see where you were, and I looked on Discord to see if you were still on there, and you were, but it was just you.
Yeah, but my phone was turned on, and he was sitting right here. I still had my camera on, and someone was like, "Wait, what are you doing in the room?" I'm like,
so were they looking
Oh
up
my
your
God.
nose? Like, what was going
Ben
on?
nostrils shot.
Probably. I don't want to ask Joe what he saw. I really don't want to ask Joe. Anyway, to the point. The only way I can properly describe this episode personally is frustration.
Ooh.
So to me was just frustrating. I'm not saying the episode was bad. Okay, I'm really not. I think it was actually, when you look at it at face value, it's a beautiful episode, and it's a great, fun story. But after last week's, and again, I had some mixed feelings about last week's episode, but then I'm like, okay, that was me. That was my expectations going wild. At the end of the day, I thought it was a great episode. I backed off of my my intense feelings about it at first. But then coming off of that episode, going into this one, I'm like, what's going on? What is happening? Because you watch that episode and it's so intense. It's so things, and it was like a fist pump for me that, like, yes, the story's picking up traction. We're heading into the finale. This is really going somewhere. And last episode, we saw that they had sent that information to Echo and Rex, and they were potentially going to be doing some rebelling. And the Zillibeast was on the scene, and that this was all kind of coming to a head. And then this episode just forgets about all that and just goes, "Oh yeah, let's take a vacation. Let's go off this thing. Let's things." And it does fit with the overall theme. And again, this is a me problem, I guess. Depending on where I literally don't know what any of you think about this episode. So it's gonna be interesting. But like, it genuinely is just like, it's a fun episode, fine, but this is not what I want at this point. This is not the episode that I wanted at this point. I wanted some intense action and some things and stuff, and it's just none of that. So I really don't know what they're doing.
What you want.
Wow.
But sometimes you get what you need, Ben.
It's Friday night karaoke.
Words have never been spoken. But sometimes I don't know what I want or what I need. I just, I don't know. I'm rambling here. All is to say I have mixed feelings. So you guys talk amongst yourself.
Okay. Hannah, what about you? What did you think of this one?
I am having a fascinating couple weeks where, Ben, we are having like the exact same thoughts. You like perfectly explain how I feel. I'm like, oh my God, are we just like morphing into one being now? Like, we just know exactly like our perspectives. We're just same. Oh, no, but yeah, just pretty much everything that Ben said. Like, I could sit here and be like, oh, this sweet seeing like another planet. Oh yeah, like mega character. Oh yeah. But at this point in the season, at this point of a second season, when there's so much story to be told, and Bad Batch to me is about the story of the clones and their place in the wider world. And yes, this is kind of on that track, but it just was not what we needed right now. Like, even if this was like in the second or third episode of this season, I still would be like, oh, that was a bit of a soft episode. But really at this is kind of what I think is the peak of a season. Just a couple of episodes before a finale, and then obviously finales ending with a bang. This is what it should be doing by now, but it just was so soft, and I saw someone on Twitter saying like the antagonist was like a wave. Like that's all we got in this episode. Like that's come on, like give us something more. So yeah, I just let down. It was a really soft episode. You could have a good perspective of it, but I'm just really let down by it not feeling like it was ramping up enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, give us your thoughts.
Here we go. He'll like love it or something.
Well, here's the thing. I think that I am actually benefiting from a strange phenomenon that I didn't expect to happen. And that strange phenomenon is getting 2 new Star Wars episodes at the same time every week. If I like one, I become more forgiving of the other. Like, for example, I loved The Bad Batch last week so much that I didn't mind the fact that I had some issues with the Mandalorian episode. And then this week, I think I liked the Mandalorian episode so much that it was fine that this Bad Batch episode was kind of a bit off the beaten path that we were expecting to be on, because the Mando episode very much was. So I think maybe if this was the only thing that had happened this week, maybe I would have a bit of that disappointment. But I kind of almost am viewing them as a unit. And I'm almost more forgiving of the fact that less happened to move the plot forward when we did get some of that in the Mandalorian. So that being said, I enjoyed the episode. I was not let down by the episode at all. In fact, I just have like technical problems with the episode. Like I have writing issues with the episode. Like there's a few things that just annoyed me about it. I felt like they could have pushed certain things further or done things slightly differently, and it could have been like an amazing, great episode, kind of similar to last week's, but instead they kind of slightly messed a couple of things up, and it made the episode seem kind of just average and normal and good, but not fantastic. So for me, the baseline premise of the episode, which is showing the Bad Batch in the context of peace, was amazing. I think that's super important. It reminded me of the episode The Deserter, where they had that going on with Captain Rex, and he was in a domestic situation for the first time in his life and saw that clones could have a family. And I thought that was incredible. And I felt like this episode that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to show like, who are the Bad Batch outside of war? Who are the Bad Batch outside of all of these crazy, harrowing situations? And I felt like that's really what they were trying to set up. And I thought that's really important character development. We absolutely have to see that. Very necessary. Maybe not at this time. Maybe it should have been a few weeks ago. But I think this episode needed to be in the season. But the problem... Hold on. I am losing my voice. Give me a little moment.
So, you've had a long day.
Well, no, it's more like I just ate a bunch of trail mix and some of it was still... Okay, but here's the problem that I had. The action scene, the whole thing with the tsunami, why even do that? Like, I understand the point of, okay, this is an action adventure show and there needs to be an action adventure scene in this episode, so let's just have a tsunami and have them like rescuing people. Like, that makes sense from a story structure show point of view, but from a realism storytelling character based point of view, that meant nothing. There was no character development that was caused by that. It was just there as an action set piece, and I think that was dumb. I think they should have fully committed to it being a character piece, and they should have just had those characters interacting and just conversations being the entire episode. I was very annoyed by the fact that they had to bring in an action set piece and take away from time that they could use to further develop those characters and show them what they would be like in a situation outside of war. So that annoyed me. It was a fun thing to watch, but again, it made the episode not great. It made the episode more mediocre because of that. And then the second thing that annoyed me is just a technical thing. So they're out at sea. Matthew Hardy brings up in the chat that there was a movie with Obi-Wan in it, Ewan McGregor, about a tsunami. This was a great movie. I recommend watching it as long as you can handle intense disaster imagery. But if you're at sea and there's a tsunami, the last thing you want to do is go back to land. It's the last thing you want to do. Like, you want to stay at sea, because at sea, the tsunami is just water that just goes whoop up and down. Like, if you've been out in the ocean far enough, you know that the waves, if you're out beyond where the waves crash, it's actually not like weird. You just go boop.
And
right?
How many children know this?
Good point. Good
It
point.
doesn't matter. Now they're going to
It's
think
the
wrong when they
children.
grow up. They're going to grow up and they're going to get killed.
Yeah, okay,
They're
but
going
you
to try to
just
go
okay.
get the
Hold on,
land.
hold on. You just said you want character realism stuff, and
Yes.
now you're like the characters need to know everything. They can't
No.
not know something.
No. Here's the thing. Here's the
would
thing. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like expressed in the episode that was the wrong thing to do. That's my problem. Like I feel like the premise of the episode is we don't want to be in the ocean during the tsunami because the wave's going to hit us in the ocean. And I felt like they were wrong with the premise of the concept. Like conceptually, it was wrong. Conceptually, you're supposed to go further out to sea.
Giant space wave.
Yeah,
Space
it didn't make any
tsunami.
sense.
It wasn't a regular tsunami.
Right. So it didn't make sense. So that part annoyed me. But again, that was just like a technical scientific thing. It just was not. It didn't match physics well. And I understand that it's Star Wars, but like again, you could have easily had that be a little bit more realistic and had something set up where they weren't doing something that didn't fit with physics of water and how water works.
They're children. They don't know, and they also have their parent figure saying "Get back to land," which is very realistic for what a parent.
No, they wouldn't. No, the parent figure shouldn't say that. They
Okay,
should
but
say "Stay out of sea."
How many people actually know that?
Anybody who lives on an island should know that.
Okay, but Hunter doesn't live on an island.
Right. But
And
again,
Hunter's
somebody
going, "Get
there,
back to sea."
again, it's like, but this
Back
is
to
just
the
a technical issue. It's fine. It's a show that's not often scientifically realistic. I just like pointing out when it isn't because it's fun. But yeah.
Chris's scientific corner.
But
Scientific corner with
other
Chris.
than like that little issue with the tsunami physics and what to do during a tsunami and how they got that wrong, and other than the fact that the action set piece really took away from the character development that could have continued, it was a very fun episode. I enjoyed watching it, and I thought that it was good. And so I'm doing my final review because I'm going to go after this.
Hold your final review for a second, Chris. Hold your final review because I want you here for this next part. Because I'm going to give my initial impressions, then we'll go to you for your final review, and then we'll get the whole episode.
This is new.
Because I'm breaking things up because I was thinking like, how can I express what I thought of this episode? And really, the best analogy, the best metaphor I can come up with is this episode is one of these. It's an Oreo dairy milk chocolate bar.
Yes.
And, because I don't normally want Oreos in a chocolate bar. In fact, I don't expect them in a chocolate bar. And yet, when you put them together,
Yes.
This was a mistake.
Dude, that is incredible.
Yeah, you know I want Oreos.
Right? Yeah. Oh my.
No, I need some water. No. Amazing. I really, this is not going to be a surprise to anyone. I love this episode because it was for a lot of the same reasons that you laid out, Chris. This was a character piece. This was a chance to take the Bad Batch out of their usual setting and out of their usual place. But I do disagree with the idea that this doesn't move the plot forward, because I do think this is an important moment, because this is the Bad Batch finally, that moment at the end of the episode. It's them finally accepting what they have to do. It's a classic Star Wars thing. It's a classic Star Wars moment that's being evoked indirectly in the final moments of this episode. And that is that Anakin Skywalker once said to his mother, he said, "Mom, you always say that the biggest problem in this galaxy is that nobody helps each other." And for the longest time, the Bad Batch, they've been looking out for number one. They've been doing jobs for Sid. They haven't really been doing anything to help the galaxy. And at the end of this episode, they made that choice. And once you make that choice to help the island of Pabu, you're going to be making that choice a hell of a lot more and making all sorts of good choices out throughout the galaxy. So it is very much the Oreo dairy milk of an episode. It's not the sort of thing you usually expect, but it's delicious. All right, Chris, let's get your final thoughts and score out of 10.
I have a feeling that we're going to be doing a live podcast from an Oreo factory soon.
That's going to be the next sponsor. The next sponsor, when we do a in-person show, is going to be Oreo.
There's one not too far away from here. So You know,
Oreo
you got
factory? Oh my god.
yeah.
Bring him up.
I didn't know that. Know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Niche. I'm sure they haven't gotten that as a request before, as a brand request.
Yeah, hello.
Oh
We'd
my
like to come
gosh.
and do our Star Wars podcast from the floor of your factory.
In your factory.
Hello. No, stop laughing. I'm serious.
It's too much filler.
Please,
It's too
someone
much
send
filler
us
in those
super
Oreos.
chats because they ain't gonna let us in that factory for free. Okay, and we're gonna need money for Oreos. Okay, so please support us financially, please.
My gosh.
All right. So what do you
Okay.
think, Chris?
Yes. So yes. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Solid, good, but not great, not perfect, but solid and entertaining. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at the episode. I'm glad it happened. 8 out of 10.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Bye, Chris.
I'm not gonna hit end. It really is tempting though.
All right. Now, of course, he has to leave me alone with the two people who hated the episode. So
yeah, I was like, okay, let's go. Because
Well-
you know what? It's shocked me, but it also hasn't. Like I thought we were all gonna be in consensus that like this was like a flatline episode, but then also you're like, this is like the greatest thing ever. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
This is on brand.
Yeah, it's I saw Ben's response to this episode before I saw anything else, which was Ben saying, I don't think I have anything to say about this episode. So we'll see what we can do about that, Ben. So I went into it kind of thinking like, okay, maybe this is finally going to be the week where I see a Bad Batch episode where I'm like, not for me, which really hasn't happened since the season 2 premiere. Or maybe the tech racing one. That one, I look back on that one as a little bit of a shakier moment. But
So that does that episode have less story than this one? To you?
No, I'm not
like,
saying it has
less importance.
I'm not saying it has less importance necessarily. I'm just saying it doesn't land for me in the same way because the racing scenes are fun, but they didn't I don't know that I'm not really into auto racing to begin with. I'm not really into that sort of that part and even the pod race like in the Phantom Menace. I like the pod race well enough, but it's not my favorite part of that movie. That's the part of the movie where I'm like, this could be a little shorter and still get the point across.
It does go for a hot minute, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially because we've only really seen the DVD version, the one that's like apparently the version that was in theaters is shorter, but George was like, for the DVD, make it longer, put all the other scenes in.
Put it all in.
Yeah, and so it goes on and on and on. It keeps going, and George loves his NASCAR, so fair enough to him. It's his movie; he can do what he wants. But yeah, I'd say that the two stories have like sort of equal importance because that story does have great importance, especially with the Sid stuff, and maybe that's where we should start because that's right at the right not the first scene of the episode, but early on, we have that moment where the Bad Batch get a call from Sid. And I guess it's more of a voicemail. And they have clearly been not communicating with her since she left them stranded on the planet with Benny and the communists. And now, it's like Benny and the Jets, but different.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, Benny and the communists. Benny and the communists.
It's a real musical. There's a real musical theme going through this episode.
Yeah, we can't stop singing, can we?
Can't stop singing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's something in the water. I don't know. But we get this moment where they get that voicemail from Sid. And Hannah, I guess I'll throw it to you to sort of start things off. What did you make of that message from Sid and how sort of the strong stance she takes against the Bad Batch, dodging her calls and ghosting her?
Yeah, I think this should be the main B plot. I think I'm kind of going to answer this question backwards, but I'm kind of going to answer it with what I kind of wished was a bit stronger in this season. Is that the A plot is like kind of the adventures they've gone on, but maybe a little more concise. And the whole running into Rex and Echo, and I wish the Cody storyline was a bit more prevalent. And that's like the A story of the Bad Batch. That's the Bad Batch purpose. They're trying to figure out what's going on with Crosshair and Cody and Echo and Rex and doing all that kind of stuff. And then the B storyline, which we would probably see maybe once an episode, is what's happening with Sid. Because clearly that's been hinted at all season long. You know, with the pod race episode, with the big, what's his name?
Grinny.
Johnny. Grinny.
Or Johnny.
You know, that guy. Johnny.
Johnny Grins, we call him.
Johnny Grins. Anyway, yeah, Grinny. You know, saying don't trust Sid, and then a couple episodes later, you know, they, you know, in the mines or whatever, where the Benny stole the ship and she didn't help them. You know, like all throughout the season, Sid didn't help them, and it's been very much set up that she isn't really for them. And you know, in this opening dialogue and opening scene, I really enjoyed actually that opening scene, where, you know, she was like, okay, for your they're like, we just like barely survived, and she was like, well, thank God you're here then, you know, so just unappreciative and you know, haggling for what price and things like that. But yeah, it's just interesting. I just wish that was a bit more prevalent, because I really love the storyline that Sid's actually a bad guy, or she, you know, I don't think it's an Empire thing maybe, but she's just like a bad dealer, and we thought she was going to be this great kind of mum, weird grandma auntie figure, but she's actually a bad guy. So very interesting. Really enjoyed that opening scene.
Yeah, I mean, Sid is out for number one. That's her thing, and I think that kind of rubbed off on the Bad Batch through parts of season 1 and parts of season 2, where they were, you know, not necessarily to the same degree as she was, but they were kind of like, well, we got to do this job and we got to do that job. We got to, you know, we're doing these sort of these missions for her because it benefits us. And it's not necessarily doing anything for the betterment of the galaxy. And Echo was the first person to kind of go, hey, wait a minute about that. And it's no surprise then that he was the first one to then leave the Bad Batch and go off on his own and join up with Rex and do something else. But now that the rest of the batch has kind of seen the light about Sid, that she doesn't have their back, and for as much as they've had her back, now she's kind of holding over them the fact that she knows about them. She knows the truth about them, and she's saying it without saying it, but she is kind of threatening to turn them into the Empire, or turn them into people who would turn them into the Empire. It's sort of, she's kind of using this knowledge that she has about them, using this agreement that they had, and that the Bad Batch, from her point of view, have broken. Never mind the fact that she broke it first, but from her point of view, they've broken it. She's now using that as a threat, as a cudgel against them, as something that she could use to try and get them back into line, or if they become a problem for her, she'll have no problem selling them out. Ben, what do you think? What do you think of Sid as the villain of the piece?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is weird thematically. I don't know. I'm just looking back to that racing episode of just like her kind of going back and forth about with Grinny and saying like, oh, I've changed and whatever else. And Grinny saying, no, she's kind of out. She's kind of a bad person. Maybe watch out for her. And them just making that choice. I thought they would continue to work with her until she kind of had a change of heart and, you know, would come over to their side or something would happen. And that could still happen. We haven't exactly cut ties. They're just kind of, they've ghosted her. They're just like, maybe if we just ignore her, she'll go away. And I like this Fees is like, wow, I didn't realize this was happening. I didn't realize you were doing this, but I'm happy. Thanks. And like where they end up in this episode is a really good place. They're making some good decisions for once and not doing these stupid missions for Sid and not dealing with her crap, and also just not doing missions in general. Just settling down,
having a feast.
Having a feast, and good old Wrecker. He's finally full. He's never been full in his life, and he's full. How adorable is that? So yeah, there's just screw you, Sid. Seriously, yeah, screw you. I'm glad you're gone. Sorry, no offense. Yeah, but
screw you, but no offense.
I was gonna say no offense to the actress, but I can't remember her name.
Rhea Perlman. Yeah, no, she's doing great. She's doing a great job.
She's wonderful. I wish that give her a better role.
Yeah, great performance. As a bad guy, like as a villainous character or a treacherous character, she's doing a real good job with it. But yeah, I'll tell you, Ben. You know what that scene where Wrecker, when he's finally full, reminded me of? It reminded me of a Pizza Hut commercial from back in the day, where they were advertising some like limitless pizza thing, and there were these dudes in the commercial, these big giant dudes, and they were like eating pasta out of a giant pot with their hands, and there's tragic voiceover saying, "I'm always eating, but I'm never full," and that's what Wrecker reminded me in this episode.
So random.
So random, but it made me think of that. Yeah, well, let's also talk a little bit about Fee, because we do get the return of Fee in this episode, and we kind of see a different side of her than previously. When we talked about her last, we were talking about how Omega was really looking up to her, and in this episode, kind of seems like she was right too. Kind of seems like, this might actually be a positive influence on all of them. What did you guys think of Fee's role in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the return of Fee. I think it adds more credence to that earlier episode with her, and I think it presents her as the non-toxic version of Sid, and I think they need someone like her, despite their, especially Hunter being very not on board with Sid at first, not on board with Fee. It does present her as like she's actually giving them something and not wanting anything in return, and actually gives them something. There's no strings attached to this. There is this. I was, as much as I kind of agree with Chris in regards to like, yeah, they could have just sat with this and not had, a tsunami. I did kind of see, well, something's going to happen. Will the Empire follow them? Whatever else. I was expecting something to happen in the second half of the episode, and it did. But I think I like Fee as a character. I'm glad that she's kind of part of the show, and I think bringing her in and having someone kind of be a street smart person that's giving them good advice that seems to actually care about them, unlike Sid, who will just leave them stranded. Like, Fee's all about, like, as much as she seems to kind of not care, kind of acts like she doesn't care, she actually does care. And her whole thing about, Omega deserves to have someone her own age to run around with and be happy with. Like, that's important.
Well, this sort of harkens back to earlier in the season when Hunter his whole thing was he wanted to find somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, for Omega to grow up, away from the war and away from, all the nastiness in the galaxy. And we've only seen Omega interact with people her own age a handful of times. There were Cutler Quane's kids and Hera last season, and then this is really the first time this season that she's had anybody her own age to interact with. The kid whose name is escaping me. What's the kid's
Don't
name?
ask me.
Liana. Liana. That's a connection to this episode, Ben. But yeah, to have her sort of get that chance to live a sort of classic life, or a more traditional life of a kid, where a kid can actually grow up instead of being on the run the whole time. And I was also expecting the Empire to show up in the back half of the episode. When things started shaking, I started thinking about, the bombing of Bo-Katan's castle in the other show, right? Like,
I was thinking the Empire caused the tsunami. That's what I was thinking somehow.
Whoa. Got the weather. Well, they do have weather machines, and if you read
it's another unfortunate mining disaster.
Oh, imagine. Wow.
Yeah, but so we get this sort of this Hunter can actually gets to kind of live the fantasy that he wanted for him and Omega, and for all of them in Omega. And what he realizes, and what he kind of learns in this episode, is you can't actually protect anyone from everything in this galaxy. You think you find somewhere safe, and then boom, there's a tsunami. At a certain point, you have to stop running and you have to start acting. And this is what I was getting at about the end of the episode. They choose to stick around. They choose to be a part of something, where in the past the show has been about them going from place to place to place. The only place they've sort of spent any significant amount of time was Sid's parlor, and they've realized that that's not a good place for them to be. So now they have to find somewhere else. And Pabu seems like a nice place, but I have a feeling the truth, they're going to learn the truth of where Crosshair is any minute now, and have to make a move for it.
My issue with the meaning of this whole episode is that, like what you've just explained there, I totally agree. Like, that's kind of the direction, and what we're meant to learn from it is, like, they always have to be on the run. They tried to, settle down in one place, or just, relax. That isn't somewhere that is Sid's parlor and all those kinds of things. But I'm actually just genuinely so annoyed that a tsunami was the enemy. Like, that it doesn't hit. So you're saying, oh yeah, the whole story of the Bad Batch, these great guys, but they couldn't stay home because of a tsunami. Like it should be, the Empire was
They
coming
outlasted
to
the
mine
Empire, but
something there.
water defeated them.
You can't stop because of the oceans. Oh my god! Like, it should have been the Empire. It should have been the Empire.
Well, it may well still be. I mean, this is the thing. They're sticking around, so the Empire may show up.
That's true. That's true.
And this is what I'm getting at is, once you choose to stay and help, it becomes a lot. Once you make that choice the first time, it becomes a lot easier to make that choice the second time. And the second time probably isn't going to be a tsunami. It's probably going to be something more sinister, like something Imperial related.
A heat wave. A heat wave, or a rainstorm.
A blizzard.
A blizzard, yeah.
It'll be some other natural disaster. But this is again, it's sort of challenging Hunter's notion that he could find somewhere safe as long as he got away from the Empire. Because here's all the people that have fled the Empire. Here's all the people that have done what he wants to do. And here they are, they're living their best lives. And then here comes a tsunami. So, yes, you can't stop a tsunami. You cannot stop a tsunami. Not possible.
Yeah.
Unless maybe if Chris was here, he could tell us how physically you can stop a tsunami. And all it takes is a couple of kites. And if you wave them in the wind and you go out in the middle of a lake, it'll all work out just fine.
I didn't even know that trick he was talking about.
Yeah,
about go to water. I never even knew that was a thing.
This is why I was saying it's
for the record, I've lived like less than a mile away from water my entire life, and I didn't know that either.
Poor Chris isn't here to defend himself.
Love you, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris may have just saved all our lives. I mean, we should be
that's true. Now we know. He's taught us
vital information somewhere down the line.
There's like 8 people watching this, and countless more in the future that may find this and the Star Wars World podcast saved my life.
Exactly. I can't wait for that news hit with local news. I wasn't sure what to do, but then I remembered this Star Wars podcast I listened to in 2023, and they said when the tsunami comes, you go out to sea, not into land, and it saved my life and the life of my dog. And it will all everybody will go and the clip will go viral.
It'd be amazing.
But so this is the point. So you think you found somewhere safe, and then a tsunami hits. You realize, I can't stop the tsunami. I can't save this paradise that people have come to because they've fled a bad situation because of a natural disaster. But maybe I can do something about what caused all these people to be here in the first place. Because one of the things that Shep says, and love Shep, what a great guy. He says, we built all these new, all these people started living in Lower Pabu, because there's so many people have come here over the years. All the space on Upper Pabu, above the sea walls, all those people are fine. but because they ran out of space, because more and more people are fleeing the Clone War or the Empire or whatever is going on out there in the galaxy, they've had to build all these dwellings and these homes in unsafe places. And so, yes, we should make sure that those homes are safe, but also maybe we should do something about the situation that's causing people to have to flee the galaxy. That's the thing. They're all coming there as refugees. They wasn't necessarily their choice to go there. And so, maybe we should help create a situation where people aren't fleeing their homes. And, once they've cleaned up from the tsunami, and once they start hearing about what Echo and Rex are doing and what's happening to Crosshair, maybe the Bad Batch realizes, hey, there's tsunamis that we can stop in the form of the Empire out there in the galaxy. Let's go get involved in the fight. Let's go actually make a real difference, the kind that we're doing here on Pabu. Let's go do it out there in the galaxy. So, yeah, that's what I think the episode's getting at. Anyways, do we want to go to the corner? Is it time? Should we go to the corner?
We can go to the corner.
I think
I got
we should go to the corner.
I don't know. After that incident last night, I'm tempted to go on strike.
Well,
I have to talk to my lawyer and my union.
Well, until you do that, it's time once again for Ben's Connection Corner. Connections in the corner with Ben. It's Ben's Connection Corner. Do.
How's it going, everybody?
Ben's Connection Corner is filmed in front of a live studio audience. All right, Ben. I was thinking, do I need to put a clock on you? But I'll give you one last go at an unlimited Connection Corner.
All right.
And we'll see how it goes.
All right, let's get into
Take it away.
Let's get into this. Yeah, strap in. Here we go. So at the beginning of this episode, you will notice that there is a Cahoon. I guess that's how you pronounce it. A Cahoon. Giant millipede, centipede, whatever. I don't know how many legs it has. That has a stinger at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You remember them from episode 2, the ones that tried to kill Padme but didn't. The good old centipedes that were sent by a robot, that were sent by a bounty hunter, that were sent by another bounty hunter, but were sent by a Sith Lord to kill Padme.
Such a straightforward storyline in Attack of the
So
Clones.
good. It's just so good.
I swear,
right
it's a
down
good
the middle.
movie. I love that movie.
I did
So, but yeah, we got one, and they also fail in this case to kill Fee. So
the critter seemed so much bigger on Bad Batch that I assumed it was something else, but I guess it's the same. I trust.
I don't know.
I trust
don't
the
know.
corner man.
I'm the corner man now. Okay. Maybe you should not put all your trust in me. I'm just saying that I have lied to you on multiple occasions during this
Don't put all
segment.
your trust in the corner.
It's true. Ben may well be. This could actually be Sid's Connection Corner.
I mean, it's not
Ben's
like I
Connection
have.
Corner.
Yeah, it's not like I have a direct line to Pablo Hidalgo or something that I can verify this. Okay, I'm just going off of. I just freaking watched the episode and I see things. Okay, but I'm calling a Cahoon, so there you go. And that concludes Ben's Connection Corner.
That is.
That's literally it.
There's no other connections.
No, that's what I saw. I only saw the episode once.
This is another one of your pranks.
It's not. I swear. I
prank.
can send you my notes. This is it.
Seriously.
Well,
all right.
What's up?
Does anybody else have
what else
anything?
was there?
I certainly don't.
You give us a corner. You give us a thing.
Well, in the episode, Wrecker ate food, which is a connection back to The Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda steals Luke's food and then makes him some more. And also Darth Vader serves Han Solo a meal and Princess Leia before they torture them in that really awkward dinner scene that Robot Chicken gave us. So really it was a Robot Chicken reference. So there was that. The episode
that checks out.
Yeah. The episode also featured Hunter, who you may remember from the Clone Wars, the episode The Bad Batch. Very good episode, highly underrated. They should do more with it. and also spaceships, which famously
Spaceships.
appeared in Star Wars 1977. There you go. This concludes
Just
a-
incredible
you know
insight.
what?
Incredible. I can't believe I didn't notice any of that stuff.
right. It's all there. It's all there.
I did.
if you look
I
for
did
it.
get Helm's Deep vibes when they got the ladders and threw the ladders over the wall for them to climb up.
There you go.
But not to get scientific like this was, but the way, like, how did like thousands of people get up the one ladder? There was like 2 ladders, and they're like, "This will save thousands more people." It's like, it's 2 ladders. What?
That
Anyway.
Hannah, I will agree that part I found quite
Did
funny.
you get ya?
I found that part
Yes.
quite funny.
Yes, it was like,
The
how
ladder.
is this
It's like, there we go.
Oh,
We're
we
safe.
can't run up these giant ramps. Let's one by one go up these tiny ladders.
Right.
This will save everyone.
Like, that's like 30 people per like 10 minutes. Like, that is not efficient. Like, that is not efficient at all.
Yeah, and then
Oh.
Wrecker, when he's carrying the old guy, chooses to go up the ladder.
Oh, the
instead of-
old Barney or whatever his name was. He's
Yeah.
like, "What's happening?" And Rec's like, "Oh." So weird. That's the point. Genuinely, that was the point of the episode that I was just like, I gotta mentally check out here.
You're like, that's when I'm
What the
done.
hell?
I can't take
Oh.
anymore. I can't take anymore. That old guy, voiced, here's a connection for you. That old guy voiced by Steve Bloom. He who voiced Zeb on Star Wars Rebels.
Wow, Steve Bloom's still at it, eh? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
He
cool.
also
Well,
played
maybe
the
he was in for something else, and they said, "Oh, do you just want to pop in here to a random side character while you're here in your live action costume for Zeb appearing in the Ahsoka show?"
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah, he also played Lance Crowder, the guy who tried to poison Fee in the opening scene in the cantina.
Now that I think about it, he did that voice did sound familiar.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And Wikipedia does agree with you, Ben, that it's a cahoon. I don't know. Cahoons, also known as Indumoto cahoons. I'm learning so much just by perusing Wikipedia. Anyways, I'm gonna close that tab because otherwise we'll never ever
We will
end
be here all night.
this delightful, wonderful edition of Ben's Connection Corner. Connections in the corner with Ben. It's Ben's Connection Corner. Do.
How's it going, everybody?
Ben's Connection Corner is filmed in front of a live studio audience. All right. Any other thoughts on the episode before we do final thoughts and scores out of 10? Gonna take that as a no. Gonna take that resounding
nothing.
silence.
Got nothing. I got nothing.
No. My internet cut out slightly, so that I didn't mean to give that awkward silence. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, brilliant. All right, let's wind things down. Go around the table one last time. Give some final thoughts and scores out of 10 for Pabu. Ben, I know you got to go, so start us off. Final thoughts, score out of 10.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, it's a gorgeous episode. Like, I wanna talk. I wish I had more time to like talk about like what I really did like about this episode, like because like I think Bad Batch continues to be really great with the visuals. I think the writing is really good. The character interactions, you know, it was a fun episode. Honestly, I want to watch it again. I just haven't had a chance to, but it's a beautiful episode, and you know, I like the messages and things, and I am curious. I'm not gonna throw out the F word here. I'm not gonna start, it's a filler episode. You know, it's very easy to do that, but I know they're going somewhere. I know they're trying to contrast it with the hellish episode that we had last week. But I am just like, this episode left me with scratching my head, going like, what is this? What is going on? So my like technical objective score would be like maybe 9 out of 10. Like I didn't really have any major problems with it. My emotional, non-objective score is like 2 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So
That
what
makes
you
more
could give it
sense.
I think I gotta even it out like I'll give it like a 7, a conservative 7.
So you're leaning much more towards the technical over the emotional.
Well, I know my emotions are dumb sometimes, so I can be honest with myself and say, you know, I'm trying to give the episode the benefit of the doubt. So yeah, okay, 7 out of 10. That's it. And
just because clearly you didn't actually like the episode that much. Do you want to give it a 6.5? Do you want to do that?
Okay, you twisted my arm. 6.5. I'll be the hater. I'll do that.
You're such a hater, Ben. I can't believe you gave this episode only gave this episode a 6.5. What a jerk.
Yeah. All right.
All right. You
So
gotta go, right?
This is my turn to leave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to leave you all high and dry. Get it? High and dry.
Well done.
But yeah, so I need to
Well
run.
played.
But this was fun. This was more fun than the actual episode that we watched. Heyo.
What would you get? What would you give this out of 10?
Is my
Yeah, you are.
Me?
I have a feeling I'm doing the end.
That's so stressful. What would I give it?
I'm gonna have a feeling I'm gonna do the end of the show by myself.
I'm scared for you.
Almost. That's what I'm worried about. Hold on. I'm giving it at before my internet dies. 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. Oh my god.
I'm really
All
sad
right.
too. I love you, Bad Batch, but 5. Best I can do.
5 from Hannah and
boy.
a 6.5 from Ben. That is either a 9 or a 2. Makes perfect sense. Well, go Ben.
And,
Go.
Look, I'm gonna go.
Bye, Ben.
If you see me walking down the street, you can follow me. Bye.
Sounds like a plan. Brilliant. All right. Well,
we're dwindling down, aren't we?
We're dwindling down. Yeah.
Yes, look at it.
Look at us.
Oh,
In
man.
fact, we can.
Look at us.
I think we'll go to this.
Oh
view.
yes.
Yeah. We'll go to this. But I will.
I gotta get to your level.
Yeah. I will say that I've really enjoyed this delightful Oreo chocolate bar of an episode.
I love that.
I did. I really liked it. I was thinking about giving it another 10 out of 10, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with the 9 out of 10. Because I gave Mando a 9.5 and I did like Mando just a little titch more than this. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So just a little titch more. So I'll give this a 9. But I did really enjoy it for all the reasons I laid out. And as Ben alluded to, I do think there was some intentional contrasting being done between this episode and last week's episode with, how do people respond to a natural disaster? And in Crosshair's case, we saw him do what the Bad Batch did in this episode, where he literally did everything he could to save Mayday. And it was the Empire who went, nah, we don't care. We don't actually care about you. It reminds me of one of my favorite Doctor Who quotes, which is, you only ever see the real face of the universe when it's asking for your help. We show ours by how we respond. And the Bad Batch showed their real face here. And the Empire showed its real face last week. And so I think that was a nice little bit of intentional contrasting there that was done by the show. And I liked it. So 9 out of 10 from me. And I think with that, we can begin to wrap things up for this second bonus edition of the Star Wars Underworld podcast, breaking down the Bad Batch. We will, of course, be back on Thursday at our usual time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, to break down the next episode of The Mandalorian. And we'll be back next weekend again to talk some more about the next episode of The Bad Batch. Maybe one week we should shake it up and do and reverse the order just to keep everybody on their toes.
Oh, maybe on the finale. Maybe on the finale we should do that.
Yeah,
Bad Batch.
Yeah. Which is like 2 weeks away. We're really close to the finale.
2 weeks, yeah. Not long away at all.
Yeah, because next week we've got one episode, and then there's a back-to-back, a 2-parter to close out the season on the 29th. Which the last 2-parter, I think everybody agreed.
It was good.
Pretty strong.
That's my favorite.
Pretty strong pair of episodes. Yeah. So if it's anything like that, hopefully it will be just as good and be a nice fitting send-off to this season. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Tune in to all of the shows. Hannah, thank you so much for being here. As always, you get to plug everything. Yeah.
Oh, it's a good time. It's a good time. I was very interested in this conversation. But yeah, what an episode. I really just, I think because I'm like burnt out because I feel like every week I'm like, oh, next week it's gonna pick up. This week was this. It was good because it was plain, and then next week it's gonna be great. I've said that every week, so maybe I'm just burning myself out a little bit of it, and maybe I should get used to more of the subtle Star Wars. So
you should go into next planning on hating the episode.
Yeah, just be like, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna suck. It's gonna be the worst thing that's ever happened in Star Wars, and then that way, no matter what it is, it'll be an improvement on that. Yeah, it'll be at least.
It'll step up from that.
Yeah,
I like that. I'll change that approach. I'll do that.
Yeah, but just go straight cynicism. And
that's how to do it. That's how to be a good fan.
Yeah. That's what we've learned over the years. Be a good fan.
That's all I've learned.
Be a cynic.
Pure cynicism. Yay. No, but it's great to be here. Good.
What's coming up on the Raeside this week?
Coming up on the Raeside, so much. I've started because I do my cooking. Sometimes I do cooking live streams, and that's now in a video recipe form. So if you want to make what I make in the live stream, there's like 3-minute cooking tutorials of what I'm making.
Nice.
Spotchka, blue milk, the cereal from Andor. There's all those things like that. Super fun. That was a hard recipe to work out, the cereal. Actually, that was pretty straightforward. But it's a good time.
Can't have been more straightforward than blue milk, which is milk plus food coloring equals blue.
Done. That video is only 18 seconds long. Got a bunch of gaming happening next week, and lots of live readings of some Star Wars books. So much is going to be happening. It's a good time.
Nice. Check it out. Search for the Raeside. That's Raeside on YouTube and all the other social medias out there. What else? What else can I plug? Follow the SWU. Follow the Star Wars Underworld everywhere you go. Follow me at Dominic J25. Where is it? There it is on the screen. I'll be posting lots from Toronto Comic Con this weekend, so which will likely be over by the time most of you are listening to this. So go back and look at the posts. Things like I met Imperial Chopper, Undercover Chopper. That was cool. There was a cosplayer dressed.
I did see that.
Yes. Yeah, there was a cosplayer dressed as Frog Lady from The Mandalorian. I just about jumped in the air when I saw that. I was like, that's
amazing. That's a good character. Yeah.
Nice deep cut, an appropriate Comic Con one. So yeah, be on the look. Go check all that stuff out. And I have a feeling we'll have to have our friend Matthew from Ion Cannon on again in the not too distant future to talk about what he did at Toronto Comic Con this weekend. So check his Instagram stories for information on that, or tune in the future. As always, again, punch the subscribe button to never miss a show. In the future, you can super chat with us or become a channel member, and subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, all those fun places. Join the Star Wars Underworld Discord network to keep the discussion going. No, wait, Star Wars Underworld Network Discord, there it is.
Keep the conversation keep the Discord going.
Keep it going. And that's it. Subscribe to Hoth Off the Press too. Why not?
Yay.
I got something I've been working on, so that'll be coming out soon. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's gonna do it for Ben and Chris, who have just bailed, have gone.
They're gone.
And Hannah and all the other wonderful people.
We're still flying half a ship.
Yeah, the Star Wars Underworld. My name is Dominic, and may the Oreo Force be with you. Still flying half a ship. I like it. Oh my gosh. All right. Enough with the music. It's a wrap.